you all are doing well. So this is the end of week 13, and if you're new here or you've already been following this series in particular, I just want to announce that this week, not just this week but moving forward, this entire series is going to go through a format change. This end of the week videos are no longer going to be built around my P&L, but they're going to be built around the process. Did the setup meet my criteria? Did I execute correctly? And what do I take into next week? So the number at the end of the week is just going to be a byproduct. What I'm actually going to be tracking now is whether I followed the rules every single trade, every single day. That's what this video is going to show you. So this week I had 7 valid setups from Eurodollar across 4 days. I took 4 of them and I did miss 3. And every trade that I took was a partial. None of them did hit actually my full TP. So let's just go through TradingView and I will actually show you all the trades. So the first trade was here on Monday. I actually took 2 trades on this same day. As you can see here, this trade on Monday during London session was a continuation setup. The pair had rejected off of this point of interest to the downside earlier, which is actually step 1 for me. And then during London Open, you can see that price continued to push all the way to the upside, and we got this break of structure to the upside, of which again, according to how I trade, that is step number 2. And then after that, we had this small retracement to into the order block that already was paired with this imbalance. Now this imbalance over here is what actually made this order block valid. Now the entry was placed on the body of this order block, especially this order block, this candle over here. So the entry was on the open of that candle, and the stop loss was below this order block, of which is essentially how I am supposed to be taking this trade during the London session. Now from here, price did push all the way to the upside. As a matter of fact, here was a previous day high. This was a Friday high. So price did push into that previous day high, and I was managing this trade with a trailing stop loss that eventually got triggered here before actually hitting the full TP for this trade. And I was able to actually close this trade with a positive 0.5 R. Now I understand 0.15 R is not a great result, but I want to be clear about how I'm going to be judging these trades moving forward. The setup was valid, the entry was correct for this session, and the trailing stop loss management was actually deliberate. So the entire process was right. The market gave me a small win, and I did manage to take it cleanly, and that is the only thing that matters to me moving forward. So the second trade was also on Monday. Was also on Monday, but this one did develop into the New York session. Now this is a reversal setup for me. As you can see here, we did have the liquidity sweep on these swing highs, as you can see with the marker over here, tapping these late longs, and that is step 1. And then after that, you can see the market structure shift here that did actually confirm the reversal, and which that is also my step 2. Price did give me this order block over here that was also paired with an imbalance in the New York session window, which means my entry now goes on, it's supposed to go on the wick of this candle. This is just another session rule that I follow. Now when I was triggered into this trade, the trade did actually move in my favor, but it didn't actually reach my full TP of 3R before the 4:45 p.m. New York time. And I follow the hard close rule, which means that position I'm going to be closed at the end of the day for this particular position was closed at the end of this day with a positive 0.17R. Now again, the 0.17R is not a big number, but the hard close rule exists for a reason. I do not carry position overnight, and I do not break that rule for any trade, regardless of where it is. As long as the time has reached, which is 4:45 p.m. for me, I will close the trade, log the trade, and I am done for the day. Now moving to Tuesday, Tuesday did give me a reversal setup to the short side. As you can see over here, we already had this sweep during the London session, and also a clean market structure shift with this order block that also had an imbalance that formed in the right valid window, which is after 3 a.m. New York time. Now looking at this setup right here, this is what I call a textbook setup. All three criteria were present, but unfortunately I didn't take it. And the reason I'm being honest about is this: hesitation, plain and simple. I saw this setup, I identified it in real time, but I didn't pull the trigger. Now that's a process failure, not because the trade won or lost, but because a valid setup by my own rules was sitting right there, and I allow it to just go without me because I wasn't sure. That's the kind of thing that is very easy to be dressed up as being caution or being discretionary, but to be honest, it's just fear. So that's the lesson that I'm taking from this particular trade, is if all three criteria are met, a trade is valid. And I need to remember my job, that my job is actually to just execute. I need to execute. My job is not to re-evaluate trades. Now the third trade was also taking on Tuesday. This trade came during New York session. It was a reversal setup to the long this time around. As you can see over here, price did sweep the lows during the New York window. A market structure shift confirmed this reversal, and I had this order block here that was also paired with an imbalance that also formed below. So all three criteria that I need to see were valid. Because this is New York session though, the entry for this trade was going to be above on the week of this particular candle over here. That's just one of my rules. And the stop loss was also placed below the order block. Now as you can see, price did push below into the order block, and after reaching the entry, price did push well from the entry. Now this one also got closed at 4:45 p.m. and that was before the trade had the chance to reach my full TP, which was actually 3R. But overall I managed to close this trade with a 0.84R. The move, as you can see over here, did eventually go all the way up to my TP, but again, rules are rules and there are no exception. Now the 0.84R is a solid partial for me, and it came from a clean setup, and this clean setup was also executed correctly. And this is the kind of trades that I want to keep at the back of my head, because I need to remember and be able to take them week after week, day after day. Now coming on Wednesday, there are actually two trades, but I only managed to take one. Starting with this trade over here, as you can see, we had this sweep of liquidity, and then after that we had stage 2, which was this market structure shift with this candle over here, leaving this order block that was also paired with an imbalance. So both my criteria were met, and I did put my order block over here. Now because this was before the New York session, my entry was at that candle's body, and as you can see, price did retrace all the way to the downside to trigger me in, and then it started to move to the upside, but then we had this huge candle that actually took me out of this particular trade. Now with this trade I did lose 0.5, which is 0.5% of the account overall. Now while we're still here on Wednesday, as I said earlier, there were two trades taking on the same day. And I'm actually going to finish up by talking the two missed trades. That was this one on Wednesday and that one on Thursday, which was my last trade. Now, as you can see here, the second setup formed in the same day, following this sweep of liquidity over here during the London session. That was also confirmed by this market structure shift, which also had this order block that was also paired with that imbalance. So this was a valid setup, full valid setup with all my criteria met, but this one I didn't get triggered on because of spread. The spread widened at the moment price touches the order block, and my order simply wasn't filled. Now that's just the market reality. It's not a rule break. Sometimes it just happens. So yeah, that was the other trade on Wednesday. And then coming on Thursday though, I had this continuation setup over here to the upside during London session, of which again you can see that I had that rejection of that point of interest, and then during London session we had this break of structure, right? And after that we had this order block that was paired with that imbalance that also formed very cleanly. Now I wasn't at the screen when this was triggered because I was at work on the road, so I was not at my desk and I didn't take the trade. So this was also a missed trade for me. And this one is a bit, I know it's a loss and everything, but with how I'm planning to view things, it was a little bit hard to accept because the Wednesday miss, I can live with that. The spreads, these are outside of my control. Thursday, that was just screen availability issue, and it's worth being honest about it. If you want to be consistent, then you need to be in front of your charts. That's how it is for me, and the way that I particularly trade. It's a problem. It's a problem because I do also sometimes go to work. So that means sometimes I am on the road and I'm not sitting down with my computer, and I have conditioned myself to only take trades when I'm with my computer and not my laptop. So it's a problem that I'm thinking of how to resolve it. But yeah, those were my trades this week. Both the trades that I took and the trades that I didn't take. There was nothing on Friday for me. And yeah, that's it. So overall, as I am evaluating my process, I did take 4 trades, and all those 4 trades did follow exactly how my strategy requires me to trade. That means all the 3 criteria were met: the sweep of liquidity or a rejection of a point of interest, having a market structure shift or a break of structure, taking a trade off of an order block that was paired with an imbalance. All 4 trades did follow all those criteria. So in terms of process wise, for the trades that I took, I did pass all the criteria, but I did miss one valid setup through hesitation, and I did miss another through not being on the screen, and these stats also matter the same. So the lesson that I am taking from this week specifically is, if all 3 criteria are confirmed, I execute. No re-evaluation at the moment of entry. The hesitation trade on Tuesday is one that stays with me the most, not because of what that trade would have done. I genuinely don't know, and it really doesn't matter to me moving forward. What matters is that I had a valid signal by every rule in my system, and I stood aside. That is the process failing, not the market. So going into next week, when the 3rd criteria confirms, which is order block touches with the imbalance present, I have to click the button. That's it. The analysis has to happen before the entry, not at the entry. So for the sake of full transparency, I said the P&L will not be the highlight, but it will just be at the back end. So I will still show you guys the actual numbers, but it's not going to be something that I am focused on, or these videos are going to be focused on. The reason why I'll be showing you the numbers is because I still want to be transparent of how I'm actually doing in terms of number wise. So as you can see, currently we're still I think last week we were at 2.7 in drawdown. This week we're at 2.4 in drawdown, so we managed to recover a little bit this week. And in terms of trades taken, I took 4 trades, like I said, 2 trades on Monday, 1 trade on Wednesday, 1 trade on Tuesday, and 1 trade on Wednesday, closing the week with positive $30.81. Now these are the 4 trades that I took. This was the first trade on Monday, this was a second trade on Monday, this was a third trade on Tuesday, and finally this was a fourth trade on Wednesday. So yeah, that was my week, and these are the actual numbers in terms of how I actually performed when you're looking at my P&L. So that's the end of this week video, and like I said earlier, if you've been following this journey for some time now, the format does feel different because it is different. I made a decision to start building these videos around my P&L and start building them around the process, because that's what I believe will make me a better trader over time. And that's what I usually even say at the end of every video, that process of emotion. So it's not the numbers at the end of the week, but it's whether I followed my own rule when it actually mattered. So at the end of every week, I'm going to be posting this full review, of which I'm going to be focused on every valid setup that formed on the pair, every trade that I took, every trade that I missed, and also give an honest score on my own process. There's not going to be any highlight reels, there's not going to be any cherry picking. So until next week, remember, process over emotions every time. Take care.